guys, and welcome into a jam-packed third episode of Maybe I'm the Crazy One podcast. I'm your host, Alex Chandler, and today we've got a full house. We got both of our co-hosts here, Aaron and Eric, and guess what? I think I figured out gallery mode finally, so we can all be on the screen at the same time.
Nice.
What's going on? What's going on, guys? How
Eric,
you doing?
this is all you, dog. You've been gone.
Oh yeah, I have been gone. Yeah, no, I'm excited to be with you here with you guys. I'm ready to do this. You know, I've been missing you guys. I've been missing the show. You know, hopefully everybody else out there listening has been missing me too.
I mean, I've heard some things about where's Eric been? You know, there's not many things because we don't have as big of a following yet as we probably could or should have, but we're still working there. And so we need your guys' help as well for that. So make sure that you like this video, subscribe, follow, do all the fun things that we ask you to do, whether it's on YouTube or you're listening just on the podcast. We just appreciate all your support. So thank you so much for that. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Aaron, but how are you doing today?
Oh, doing great. By myself this week, so I'm just working and doing stuff around the house. So it's a little quiet around right now, but we're doing all right. Laura's living her best life in Ireland right now, so shout out
there
my
you
wife.
go. Aaron's wife is in Ireland, enjoying her time there. She should have gone a couple weeks ago and watched Florida State get their butt beat in by Georgia Tech, but
It's
you
true.
know, that is a different situation and a different story. Yeah, I mean, my wife's actually going out of town with my grandma this weekend to go see the Savannah Bananas. So, you know, just
jealous.
another thing that we can all be in the same place with. But hey, we got a packed show today. What do you guys think about getting started?
Let's do it.
All right.
No,
also,
I'm not ready.
Okay, well, let's give it a second. All right, that was the second. Now you're ready.
Okay. Gotcha.
You have to be ready now either way. Also, just in case Eric dips out here, he's working on some internet situations here. He'll be better soon. But yeah, see, look at that. This is a little bit of a delay.
He getting that fiber, baby.
Yeah. Don't look at him based upon, his mouth. Just listen to his words. And then if you want to see what happens, just look 3 seconds later. But either way, we're going to start with some serious news, or at least semi-serious news. It's kind of a really ridiculous story at the end of the day. Ricky Pearsall, rookie wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. I think they took him in the third round. He was shot last week in San Francisco Union Square by a 17-year-old kid. Now, the kid's been detained. He was actually shot himself by Ricky Pearsall.
With his own gun, yes?
With his own gun, yeah. And so he shot him, and Ricky had a through and through. Luckily, nothing happened inside of the body. I know, Eric, you have some points on that. But went straight through his right pec, through the back of his arm, or not the back of his arm, back of his shoulder. He's already back in the facility working out.
Crazy.
On top of that, Brandon Ayuk, who we've spent a couple of weeks talking about where is he going to be. I think at one point we even said Pittsburgh is where I expect him to be, but at this point I don't know. Signed a 4-year, $120 million deal to become the sixth highest paid receiver in the league. And then additionally, 2 days later, Trent Williams flew his happy ass on out to San Francisco and renegotiated and restructured the last 3 years of his deal to get $48 million guaranteed at signing, over an $82 million total deal. So, Eric, and we're going to get to this here in a little bit. You've been pretty high on the 49ers, even though, right now you're wearing a Seahawks jersey. This has to be the year they do something, right?
I think it's their last opportunity to do something here.
At least as currently constituted. I mean,
they're spending all their money. I mean, they're putting it all in. They're going all in. I mean, I don't know what else they could do. I guess to your point, get a better quarterback, as you would say.
I've never said he's a bad quarterback.
A pro Super Bowl winning quarterback, as you would say.
What I would say is that in order to win at a $60 million or around that price range, when you're not paying him $890,000 a year, you need to have a higher level quarterback than what BrockPurdy has been able to show. That's what I have said.
And is this not his contract year?
No, it is his contract year. He's 100% in the contract year. He's going to make, I think, 960,000 this year, but last year he made 890,000.
And he's due for a contract at the end of the year, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into with one of our talking points later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think it's all in, or yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to redo this again. So
yeah, I mean they have what, 9 players I think that are making $20 million or more, and the cap is 255 million. Now, as we've seen with the New Orleans Saints, the cap is fake. And so, like, I don't necessarily build a whole lot of stature into how many people they're paying, what the total number is. Additionally, we're going to get a new media deal soon, and that's going to increase the value of the cap. And so there will be some more money, but the problem comes in is, where does that money come in at? And I also kind of wanted to see the 49ers without Ayuk, without Trent Williams, without, this cast around them, to see if Brock Purdy was that guy. And so, I do agree. I think this is the Niners' year. That has to be the Niners' year in order to do what they expect to do. We'll go through in a little bit with our playoffs and kind of how that adjusts everything in the future. But Aaron, do you think that this has to be, Super Bowl or bust for them?
Yeah. I don't see, with the cap being fake or not, there's no feasible way that they sign all of their people back, let alone even probably half of them.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
not with what they're wanting to get paid. No,
correct. I would agree with that. And just so everybody knows as well, it's not only Brock Purdy who's up for contract this year. Talanoa Hufanga is up for contract. They're all pro safety. Dre Greenlaw, I understand he's coming off of injury, but he's also up for contract. Javarius Ward is up for contract. Lamonadu Lenoir, I'm sorry if I said that name incorrectly, is also up for an extension. Javon Kinlaw, a first-round pick for them 2 years ago, is going to be probably asking for money soon, or they're going to have to make a decision on that because, fifth-round options, those aren't cheap anymore. And Javon Kinlaw was a top 12 pick, sorry. So he's going to be about a $16-18 million cap hit if they accept his 5th-year option. On top of that, Javon Hargrave is over $28 million. Fred Warner needs another extension to be in line with the rest of the league now after Roquan Smith got paid this summer. I mean, there's a bunch of different things that are going to come up for them. So this has to be their year. Another team that I think we thought might have been their year, now I have a lot of concerns, and we've talked about it during the AFC, was the Bengals. And up until today, when we're recording, which is Wednesday, Jamar Chase hadn't practiced. And now he did show up today. He put on a helmet. He did individual drills. We're not sure if he did team drills because that wasn't open to the media. But we're going to assume that he's at least trying to pace to be playing for week 1. However, there was reporting yesterday that he was trending towards not, even if he showed up today. And so what has gone wrong with the Bengals?
Sounds like front office issues to me.
Yeah.
Because, and this may or may not be a hot take, but I think that's the best player on your roster is Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm. At least he's the most consistent and healthy one.
Right. Like, unless Burrow ends up being healthy for the rest of his career, like, I think it'll be like, or obviously, like, we never want players to get hurt, but it's a part of the game. Mm-hmm. Like, assuming Jamar Chase doesn't get hurt and is out, intermittently throughout the rest of his career, like, he will be the best player on this roster until he either resigns or goes somewhere else. So true. I feel like it's like just the thing with him, with T. Higgins, like, it just seems like a management issue to me, or a front office issue, like, looking in, because, like, I think the players like each other, but it's the organization they don't seem to care for.
I would agree with you on that. I mean, also remember Trey Hendrickson, before deciding to show up, asked for a trade, in the offseason as well, because he wasn't getting a new contract. So, I mean, kind of like they're like the opposite almost of the 49ers, in my opinion, is where the Niners pay everybody, and now they have to make decisions based upon who we're going to continue to pay, who's going to be here or not. The Bengals and their history really haven't paid anybody. Nope. They only have one player that's making over $20 million a year right now, and that's Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
No other player on their roster makes over $20 million. Now, granted, they also have one of the poorest owners in the league because it's Mike Brown, Paul Brown's son, and that's how he made all of his money, was from being the son's owner, or the owner of the son's owner. Yeah, there we go, and inheriting his money.
Get investors.
Right. And so there's like, but that's why they sold the name rights to the field or whatever it was last year or 2 years ago. So they had money to sign Burrow. He just doesn't have enough money in escrow. So I honestly think, like,
Or sell the team.
Or sell the team. I mean, the team is probably worth $4 billion right now. And especially when you can now, according to the NFL, sell minority stakes up to 10% to capital funding in other situations. Why can't you sell that to somebody, get $400 million in cash instantly, give them minority stake, which won't truly matter, and then pay your players effectively? Again, this is also the same organization that used to charge players to rent their equipment and buy food and water in the cafeteria. So, Eric, you're really high on the Bengals. Again, it's another point we'll get to here in a little bit. Does this not give you any concern? Like the way that the vibes are inside of Cincinnati?
Am I concerned? Yes. Am I worried? No. He's gonna play. I think everything's gonna eventually hash out. I think this thing has started with so many players. Like, I get it. Players want to get paid, right? And there's certain players that we have seen get paid that probably shouldn't have got what they got, but based on their position. And it just
BrockPurdy's gonna be one of those.
Well, Christian Kirk was one of those.
Christian Kirk is absolutely one of those, which now, though, his contract looks pretty good now comparatively to the rest of the market. Just put that out there.
Correct. Now it looks great because he raised the stakes for everyone else.
Right.
Like, if he wouldn't have got paid what he had gotten paid, we wouldn't be seeing these high amount of deals. Or someone else would have hit that, right?
Right.
Probably someone who probably is worth that. And I think it's just created a mess with the players and front office. And I agree with both of you. I think front office just if it's your best player, you need to pay him and, try not to lose him. I mean, I feel like it's the same situation a little bit like Tyreek, but Tyreek was kind of at his end of his contract and he needed to get paid and he wanted to get paid. Now the Chiefs didn't hurt by losing Tyreek Hill, as we've seen, and they've proven that. I think it will hurt the Bengals if they lose Jamar Chase.
Barely. Yes, they've won, but they do miss him.
Let's be real. Yes, they do miss him, but they make do, right? They make do with what they
hold on. Like,
and Andy.
Now, this wasn't a topic on the show, but we're gonna have to talk about it because you brought it up here, and I hate being the one, kind of like John hates being the one defending Aaron Rodgers to me because he's a Lions fan. I hate being the one to defend the Chiefs to you guys. They lost Tyreek Hill and won back-to-back Super Bowls. I don't think they missed Tyreek Hill.
From a production standpoint, I think they do. Just what, again,
Patrick won an MVP one of those 2 years.
I understand that. I'm not saying that they haven't succeeded. I said I know that they've still won, but to say that they don't miss him is.
Oh, yeah, anybody's going to miss a player that's that fast and that productive. The thing is that their offense didn't miss it. They were still a top 7 offense. The only thing that changed is that they didn't have big plays over the top.
Correct. But you also had Andy Reid, who was phenomenal at figuring out, I don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. I don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. I need to redraw this whole playbook and figure out how we can be efficient and effective. And he did, and then won the Super Bowls. Now, the Bengals don't have an Andy Reid.
No, they have Zach Taylor. We're not going to. I agree with you.
If they lose Jamar Chase, they're really going to be missing him. There's no doubt about it.
They're going to miss Tyler Boyd this year. And I understand Jermaine Burton is there, and he was a former Alabama guy. He's going to do well. But, I mean, they're going to miss Tyler Boyd. They're going to miss T. Higgins next year if they don't franchise him again, which I don't think they will, because that number is to be like 34 million, I think, next year for him. So like that's out of the question for them to have two guys on their roster at receiver that are making $70 million. So T's going somewhere. And again, the same thing we talked, I think, last offseason on this show. You needed to trade T. Higgins last year. For optimal value, you needed to trade him, and at minimum, when you franchised him this year, you needed to trade him before the draft, and that's a problem. But the other flip side of this is that Jamar's only going into year 4. They've already accepted his 5th-year option for next year, so he's technically under contract for 2 years. So if he were to hold out, if he were to decide I'm not going to play or dog it or whatever it may be, they hold his rights basically for the next 4 years. So I don't think Jamar is necessarily going anywhere, and he needs to recognize that and understand it and try to get as much security and longevity as he can. $140 million, which is what Jeddah got, shouldn't be your goal. I understand that's what the expectation is next man up makes the next amount of money. You're not Justin Jefferson from a production standpoint. You're really close, but you're not Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, and I think, to my point, I think Jamar should just go out there and show what he's worth. If he thinks that he's worth it, just dude, you're already in contract. Go out there and prove that you're worth that, and the money will come.
His argument would be, I've already done that.
Well, and
I know he's done that, but the money's going to come. It's not like it's not,
unless he gets hurt.
Unless he gets hurt, yep.
Because
correct.
That was the point I was going to make. Is we're in a day and age where players want that security that they're going to get paid, and if you get hurt, you get less money. They want to get paid for what they're doing now.
Unless you're a quarterback.
But as far as like positional players go, they have, the risk of playing and then getting hurt. And then it's either we don't re-sign you because, you were hurt last season. This is what we're going to give you until you prove otherwise. Like, it can just be that 1 year that affects the difference between like Jamar Chase getting, let's say, 120 million and maybe like 100 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the number for Jamar is about 132. I'd put him right around that same number that CD got, right? I think it's technically a little bit less than CD, but I also think he's less valuable to his team than CD. At the end of the day, I think Joe is better than Dak. And so Joe gives a little bit more value to what Jamar does then they have similar numbers. I think a lot of what Dak does is CD based. I think a lot of what Joe does is Jamar based, but Joe has some part in that. I also think
they don't have Mixon this year too, so we have to take that into account.
Hey, don't be down on Chase Brown and Zach Moss, all right? Those guys are guys, all right? I didn't say they're good guys. They're guys. But also Joe Mixon wasn't very good for them last year. Actually, the last 2 years is part of the reason they got rid of him. One thing that I also have questions on, and I'm sorry for my burp there, but why the hell has Joe Burrow not gone to his best friend and been like, dude, we need you here? And I also remember last year at the same time, Joe Burrow, when he was getting his contract, he's like, I can't take all the money because then there won't be money for everybody else. And then he signs the largest quarterback contract in NFL history. So there's just a lot of weird vibes in Cincinnati, and that's part of the reason. And, we discussed this 2 weeks ago when we did our AFC picks, Aaron and I did, but I don't have them in the playoffs, right? I think I took them out.
Yeah, you had them at 3rd, but I think you did not have them making it.
I'm going to double check my notes here real quick, but yeah, no, I don't have them in the playoffs. I had the Ravens at 10-7 and the Bengals at 10-7, and the Ravens were my 7th seed, I think.
Yeah, the Browns winning the division, which is crazy.
Hey, man, they had the best defense in that division, and defense win championships. So.
And you think Jameis Winston's going to take him to the playoffs?
Hell yeah. I love J-Mo. Give me Jameis. Give me Jameis to the death of me. But
how'd that work for the Saints?
What?
How'd that work for the Saints?
The Saints are a terrible team. They're going to go fucking 2-15 this year, and that was one. So there we go. So let's go ahead and move on to some happiness, or I don't even know. God, this is really serious topics today. The Packers and Eagles are going to play on Friday in Brazil. They're going to be playing in Corinthians Stadium. We've already discussed that. There's a unwritten rule about green bands that Eric is mad about us just even talking about. But the more prevalent issue is that both the Packers and Eagles, I don't know if you guys have seen any press conferences from the players or the teams or anything. They've been asked about what they've been told about what to do in Brazil and what the rules and regulations are. And like from the team side, there's a lot of conversation around don't go out without a buddy or multiple people in a group. Don't take your phone out on the street. Really, honestly, don't be out after dark or before the sun comes up. And it's all due to crime in the city. And I just want to know, like, I understand the NFL has an international initiative, and that's why we're in Germany. We have multiple games in London. We've played a game in Mexico City. How is this the decision that you make as the next place to go? That, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Terrible decision.
There's other places you could go that weren't as dangerous. You could go to Sydney, for example. Sydney has a huge NFL footprint, bigger than Brazil does. Now, I didn't check these numbers before I say these words, but here it is. Buenos Aires in Argentina would have been better, and you have that honestly a connection directly with Messi, right? Connect the both of them there. He's in America. Do something there. You could. There's so many different options that they could have gone to expand the game. I don't know if Brazil was the right place. What do you guys think?
No, like the fact that they have to come out and say, hey, don't do A, B, C, D, literally all the way down to Z, shows that it probably shouldn't have been held there in the first place from my point of view. Like, if like obviously they're probably not going to be going out a lot anyway. Granted, in terms of like alone and whatnot, I don't know typical rules and regs when it comes to like travel whenever you leave and all that stuff, but like the fact that like if you have to go with someone at all times, if you do go out, like that's concerning to me.
Mm-hmm. Now the Eagles are going to be fine because we have Big Dom. He's back. He's allowed back in with the team and on the sideline, so we'll be fine. But I'm worried about the Packers. They're going to be the ones wearing green. And Eric, you have a problem with the green band, right? Mainly because it doesn't exist in your eyes.
It doesn't exist. It's not. They won't look at it the same. It's completely different. I'm kind of indifferent about it. I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50. I want to weigh that it was a horrible idea, but at the same time, I feel like it wasn't a dumb idea either.
Was it dumb to put the two green teams, like two of the four in the league there?
Absolutely.
Yes, but I think they weren't thinking about a pretty dumb, like unwritten law. It's just like us at sporting. No one can wear, like, if Messi was to come, you can't wear a Messi shirt. Like it's pretty slacked.
But that's something everybody knows though, that you don't wear but like that goes for any stadium like that has a supporter section, at least in terms of soccer. You don't go to the supporter section and wear the opposing team's gear.
Yeah, that stadium just a little. They take it to a little bit higher. It's like no one's allowed to wear it in the stadium when they play the team.
Higher is
right. That is an extreme
but no, I think this kind of, and I don't know, maybe it's because of what happened to Ricky. I don't know. I think they're just trying to be more cautious with players, especially out of country. And I think they're starting to set some of these rules even here at home in the United States. Because Ricky's not the first one this has ever happened to, and I think just they're professionals, they're superstars, are well-known people, and it's just we have a world not just here but everywhere where just people are not in the right mind, and can hurt people, and one of the people can be an NFL player or someone else. And I think they're just trying to implement more rules, more safety. They're trying to protect their players. So
player safety should always be number one.
Yeah,
always,
without a shadow of a doubt.
Mm-hmm. Additionally, what was I going to say to that point? I don't remember what I was going to say. There was something I had. It was really good, and it'll come to me later, and it won't be the right time. But either way, we'll move on from that. One thing that I did find as an important nod, while the Eagles won't be wearing any green just out of, the opportunity that it's an issue. They chose the reason they chose to wear the black, white, black was at a nod to Corinthians, who wears black and white at home. And
That's cool.
so
I do like
I
that.
thought your guys' number was going to be at least green.
our
Their
number
numbers.
is, yeah, the
But
number
it's like
is green.
super dark to where it looks black.
It is. It's like a dark green. Yeah.
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 And so that's going to be interesting there. I just think they could have picked two different better teams. You know, for
Probably.
example, the Lions and the Rams. That's a prominent game that's playing this weekend. You could have put that on Monday. You could have put the Packers Eagles on Sunday night.
Could put the Chiefs Ravens.
Chiefs Ravens, I understand because they're opening, they're dropping a banner at home. You don't want to necessarily do that. But as we go through our games here in a little bit, you're gonna be seeing, you know, we have 5 games that we're gonna highlight, not including the Rams Chiefs that we already picked last week, which Eric said the Ravens were gonna win. You know, you could have really picked probably 4 of these games would have been really good games to go to Brazil. Maybe not the Jets, the 49ers. I guess the Jets are green. But, you know, Cowboys Browns would have made sense. Rams Lions would have made sense. So there's better options that they chose. I think the NFL needs to do better. I understand that the Eagles are like the 3rd largest fan base across the world, behind like the Cowboys and the I think it's the Patriots right now. Cowboys and Patriots, and then the Eagles. But, you know, at the end of the day, I don't care. I really don't care. The players don't want to go on both sides. They're looking at it as a work trip. They fly out today. It's a 10-hour flight. They'll be there through the game on Friday night, and the Saturday morning they fly back. So, you know, I don't know how much they're going to have an opportunity, like you said, to go out and do these things, but at the end of the day, it probably wasn't the best decision to at least have those 2 specific teams go. But now we get to finally move on to some fun news. And it's news that we've covered on the show. I don't know if the 4.5 turnovers conversation was on the show, or if we just had it.
I think we've that's a good point. I don't know if it had. Could be both.
It could be both. We'll get there in a second. But Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever deserve some recognition. They started the season 1-8. Now, granted, they played the Aces twice, the Liberty twice, the Sun twice, all like in a 9-game stretch.
Top teams.
Right. And they started out 1-8. Since then, they've gone 16-8, which has gotten them, if you do the math, 17-16, and secured a playoff spot, albeit they're in like the 7 seed right now, maybe the 6 seed. I can't remember exactly.
7 seed right now.
Perfect. And so
depending on what happens tonight, I think, but
and so there's a few games left. I think we decided there's 43 games in the season, so there's 10 more left based upon those numbers. They can move higher or lower in the standings. At the end of the day, they're the 2nd team that's ever started 1-8 in the WNBA and made the playoffs. Now, Eric, I know you don't have a lot on this, so I'll go ahead and talk to Aaron about this unless you have anything.
Good. No.
Okay. All right. So what do you need from me, man? Do you want to take a victory lap? Do you need me to apologize? What do you need? Because this is your turn. This is your floor. I was clearly when the season started and I had my issues. I still have some of those issues. Her turnovers have not been the greatest over the last 12 games. But, you know, what do you need from me to feel good about your life?
I don't know what you're like really meaning about feeling good about my life.
Well, just in terms of like Caitlin Clark, since that's your girl, you know?
We've already talked about that. Caitlin Clark's not she's not my favorite player in the league.
Who's your favorite player in the league?
Sabrina Ionescu.
Okay, exactly. And that's your other girl. We talked about this. You have a 3v3 team. You got Sabrina, Kelsey, Caitlin. And I've got Asia. Who did I say I had? Asia.
Although I'd sub Kelsey for NECA. Give me NECA over McCabe, though. From Seattle.
I'll take Kelsey then. That's fine.
That's fine. I'll take NECA. She'll pop off.
Yeah, that's fine. Eric, I don't remember who I even gave to you.
I think you gave me like Angel Reese.
Angel Reese, Brianna Stewart, and I don't remember the other one.
I'm pulling it up right now. But Aaron, I mean, do you want to talk about how well she's played? I know you've watched most of those games.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to watch basically every game. Like I've missed a lot I missed a good amount during August just because I had a lot going on and it was a lot of travel. But like I was literally in airports watching games as long as they weren't nationally televised, which it seemed like right after the Olympic break, a good portion of those were nationally televised, and if they are, you can't watch them on the app.
Fair.
And I don't have like the DirecTV app on my phone, so I would just watch the game cast on it. But like I would literally be there was 2 or 3 separate times from the freaking 10 flights I took in the month of August that I was sitting in the airport watching games while I was waiting, whether it be for a layover or just going
Right.
and like obviously like I know we're highlighting Caitlin Clark, but like honestly the team as a whole has just come together.
That's
I
true. Leah Boston's like we talked about this a
we
couple
did
of
talk
times.
about this I think in one of the shows, just like Aaliyah Boston is finally playing like rookie of the year. Aaliyah Boston has been. Lexi Hull has been popping off.
Yep.
Kelsey Mitchell, she popped off last game against I think it was against Chicago. Um, I think she had like 37 points, career high. Just absolutely just was killing it. But like her maybe that was Dallas. Yeah, sorry, Dallas. They won 193 and she had 36. I was a point off, but uh Kelsey's playing amazing. Just like Caitlin is starting to slowly like, not turn the ball over as much, which I mean, someone who because like
Slowly.
I know how like the argument is like, oh well, Caitlin leads the league in turnovers. Well, when you
She also
hand
leads the league in assists. I mean,
right, and that's my other thing. Like, and I'm not comparing Angel Reese to Caitlin Clark in that point, but they are two different positions. One handles the ball a significant amount more than the other. So,
true.
like, if for the people that do bring that up, just take that into account, please. Like, one is a point guard and one plays down in the paint. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
well,
mean, also
a shooting point guard, I should say, but like
yeah,
she
Caitlin
she's
also
facilitating basically everything.
yeah, Caitlin also plays a like you said, she doesn't play near the basket as much, and so her shooting percentage is also going to be lower. So don't put that versus Angel Reese's, except they're very similar. And Angel plays 8 feet from the basket. Like I love Angel Reese. I know that's your girl, Eric.
And they're both players in their own right. So all you guys that are hating on one or the other, or just the league in
they're
general,
excellent. Yeah.
just stop the nonsense, please. Just please let them play. Let them both be great in their own ways, please.
So do you think there's actually an issue between the Chicago Sky though and Caitlin Clark?
No,
Did you see the information that was out there that like I think it was 17% of or no sorry 37% of all flagrant fouls were committed against Caitlin Clark and 80% of them or whatever were uh
the
from
Sky.
the Sky.
Uh,
Hmm.
and what and like how many of those are against
Kennedy Carter,
Kennedy
I don't know,
Carter?
probably all of them except for the one that Angel got that one game, but
Right.
uh
I don't. It's a sport. Fouls are going to happen, regardless if it comes from one team or not. I don't take stock into it. I just like from watching the games, fouls happen. Do they happen
that's
more
fair.
often? Sure, but to say that someone's out for someone in the league, like I mean, to kind of like quote Diana Taurasi, like people are going to come for you, and like they have. I
Mhm.
mean, and it's not just from veterans; it's going to be from other players that want to be seen for their play as well, regardless of if. I mean, you can call it what it is for paint whatever narrative you want, I guess, for your hard fouls on Caitlin Clark, but like she doesn't talk about it. Just let the
No,
player it's a sport, let the players play is usually like, until it starts getting to where it's like like you're gonna injure someone, which for all the ones that I've seen, I don't think it's ever been the case. So
fair.
Hmm.
The assist record that she set, was it for rookies or was it for the league?
I believe that was just for rookies as of
Okay.
right now.
Okay. So
Because I know Angel did set both like literally 2 games apart because apparently they weren't far apart because I'm pretty sure they were in back-to-back games. If not, they were.
the
It
rookie
was
and
it,
the
it was
season.
within like she did it one game and then maybe not the next game but the game after. But I'm pretty sure they were back-to-back games where she set the rookie record for rebounds and then the league record for rebounds. So
Yep.
shout out for that as well. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, they've both been exceptional this year. It may be the best 1-2 class that they've had in a long time in the WNBA. Usually it's just like an Asia Wilson comes out, a Maya Moore comes out, next year a Paige Buchers comes out. And, we're going to start seeing, I think, a lot more 1-2, 1-2 threes, because even Cam Brink has had a really good season. And so,
despite playing 15 games or whatever it was, 8 games
because of her leg injury or whatever it was. Yeah.
ACL, I think, or
yeah. So I mean, and you've put in early stock on Cam Brink, so I'll let you have that one.
But one stat that I know I shared to you guys earlier, and I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but they are playing like I said, they are playing very well, and I wouldn't be surprised because with the teams that they have beaten during this stretch does say something. But so the Fever are the second team in WNBA history to make the playoffs after starting 1-8 or worse through the first 90 games of the season, joining the 0-1 Charlotte Sting, who went on to reach the WNBA finals. They did not win, but they reached the finals.
My only argument there is until 4 years ago,
I understand
the playoffs were 4
was
teams.
Right, it was a lot different, but still,
you played 17 games, you had 4 teams. I mean,
but to start that poorly, though, I mean, it still says something.
No,
the resolve is there.
Absolutely. And like I said, they deserve credit. Caitlin deserves credit. But we got to talk about this. 8.4 assists, 5.5 turnovers. That's too high. I don't care how much she holds the ball. That's too high. And so if they're going to make the finals, if they're going to win championships, they've got to get better there.
And from what I've seen, a lot of them are manageable turnovers. It's just a lot of
play within yourself.
Right. And I wouldn't even say a lot of them are from passes. It's I've just seen her get stripped from dribbling in the paint and then just kind of doing a half-ass turn with the ball, and then it just popped out.
Yep. So by the way, that list, mine was Asia, Haley Van Lith, and Paige Buchers. Yours was the 3 that we discussed: Sabrina,
Caitlin,
and I said Kelsey, but you went NECA now, so you can have
that.
So Eric, you get an opportunity. Do you want Diana Taurasi as your 3rd, or do you want Kelsey Plum?
I'll take Kelsey.
Kelsey Plum.
And yeah, Alex gave me all guards. I'm like, I need at least a big.
No, you don't.
I need someone taller than 6 foot, please.
Hey, I don't have anybody taller than 6'5".
Oh.
Yeah, but you have Asia Wilson, and she is her. So
yeah, she is the greatest basketball player, the women's basketball player, at least in the world right now.
But yeah, Caitlin was my tallest player at 6 foot, by the way. So
hey, she could rebound though. Okay, so all right. So now we're gonna move on to a special edition of this episode, I guess, or this portion of the episode. It's gonna be sponsored by nobody because we don't have a sponsor. But if you want to sponsor us, go ahead and reach out. This is Eric's Corner. So Eric, as we've discussed, has missed a couple shows and is a very, very busy man. So there's gonna be times where he misses shows with us. And that was part of the reason we added Aaron, so we could keep, putting out shows for you weekly. And so this is going to be Eric's Corner, where Eric comes back after listening to the bullshit that we've talked about all week and tells us where we were wrong. And a couple things that he had, there was a couple sporting takes that we had. And then we also got to talk about his standings for the AFC and the NFC before we get to the playoffs in the second half of the bracket, or the second half of the show. So Eric, I'm going to go ahead and let you start this off, my friend. What? So you had some issues, or sorry, you didn't have issues first. You wanted to take credit for something, right?
Did I want to take credit? Oh yeah, I think it was. I think it was about Polito. I think.
Yeah,
was that right?
Something about Polito. I don't know.
How I think both of you and you tried to pull this. I never liked Polito, and then you went to go ask your wife, and she told you, "Yeah, you did."
It was shallowy. It was shallowy.
Oh, yeah.
I told you I like Polito.
Yeah, yes, you did like Polito.
I want to slap bet on Polito. Okay,
you're welcome.
And I said when he came over from Chivas, he was not going to be good anymore. Which he had. Was it last year? He had his best season with us.
He had a good season and a half.
Season and a half. Yeah,
before he ripped up his leg.
Yeah. And everyone kind of says that, he's scared out there, his injury. It might be a little bit. I just think he's been done for a while. I think he left MX to come to the United States and make some serious money. And he's still looking for the opportunity. I think his drive for the game has gone down a bit.
A lot of
I
it.
don't. Well, I still try to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I don't try to bury the man in the ground.
Where else would you bury him?
You know, bury him in concrete, or
you gonna bury him in the air?
I don't know. I don't want to diminish his. I don't want to diminish his character. How about that?
You're good. I understand. We're just giving you a hard time.
No,
we don't give you a hard time. We're not doing our jobs. Okay.
Yeah.
So
facts.
No. Did you guys say keep Polito or trade him? I can't remember.
We both said keep.
Yeah, you guys
said keep, but move him from the front line.
Yes, you did. Yes, and I think you guys are high. And you guys also talked about moving on from Russell, and I completely both disagree.
I said I see it happening. I don't want it to.
I don't think
to clarify there, because I read the notes and it said about our Johnny Russell takes it. Now, when Alex first proposed it to me, I said no shot, but like with how the season has been and just with his age, sorry, I just wanted to clarify. I know this is your time
you're good.
You're good. The floor, but I wanted to clarify my position on it. I want him to stay, and I think maybe he's got another year left. That's like what my heart of hearts is telling me.
Yeah.
But with just how the season's been and with the whole roster changes that are presumably coming, granted, he is great veteran leadership. So like, if you heard my take on like maybe he takes less money and then definitely comes back at least for another year, if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I feel like it's at this point, like, unless he wants too much, if they can agree to a price point, I feel like it's going to be on Johnny, not on Sporting. That's my take.
Yeah. And I don't know. I can see him negotiating with them and coming to an agreement. My take is I think you need to get away from Polito and Shalloway. Like, I think they're fuel to the fire. I don't think they bring much to the table. I think they lack leadership on that team, and I think Johnny Russell is your leader. And I don't know who else would step up in that role.
Here's my argument. Hold on, I hear you. Like, let me rebuttal this.
Go ahead.
They lack leadership, as if he hasn't been on the team for 2 years. So if that is their leader, and you're saying they lack leadership, then they need more leadership. That's not going to be him then.
Well, I think he's talking about in the sense of like, if you get rid of Johnny and you still have those two, you're going to have a lack of leadership. Not that we necessarily have a lack of leadership now.
Okay. Yes. Again, though, look at what they've been able to do, or lack thereof, the last 2 seasons with the amount of talent that they've had. Again, he's been that leader the last 2 seasons that they have struggled. So like, you're just asking for like to keep trying to respin the wheel. I feel like, you know what I mean? That like the same shit keeps happening over and over. It's the same thing that we get frustrated about come May or June when they start winning again. We're like, where the hell has this been all season?
Correct. But I think the other point to Johnny, and I feel like a lot of people get frustrated with Johnny, is that a lot of people aren't seeing the production level of scoring goals, because what do people love? Scoring goals, right? They want someone who can score a lot of goals. That's their favorite on the team. But I think more of Johnny's standpoint lately, and from years, I feel like him as a leader, he tries to set up his teammates around him to create openings, to create shots for other people. Not just, he knows he can probably take it, and he probably wants to. He probably isn't as athletic as he used to be in his younger days. But I think the knowledge he has now, and the the experience, I guess. I think really, I think that's what he's trying to provide for the team, but we expect more from him as a scorer, not as a assister or
A facilitator.
Yes, correct. Um, and I think that's where I feel like some people kind of feel like it's time for Johnny to leave, but I don't know.
My
I don't think
my
so.
my only issue with Johnny is that he's really only had two moves his entire career. It's the dummy down the right, switch back to the left, or it's the drill straight down to the corner of the post and try to cut it across. He doesn't
Mhm.
really have a third. He doesn't have a third pitch. He doesn't have a fourth pitch. He's not dynamic in front of the goal. And next year he'll be 35. And I know, like in soccer, you can go for a long time because it's just running. You're not getting hit the same way in football, or you're not taking as hard of falls because it's not hardwood like basketball. But like he's getting up there in age, and so when you look at the team rolling over, I think you can get that veteran leadership at this point
From
Eric, from Jake
Mhm.
Davis, even. He had at the end of this season, he's going to have over 60 appearances in MLS, or sorry, over 70 appearances in MLS already, and he's going to be 22 years old. We can get so much younger, so much better, so much faster, so much stronger, and have that money that we're going to pay Johnny, no matter what the amount is, for a younger player that's probably going to produce the same way that he is. Because honestly, when I've watched him this year, he hasn't been better than Steven Afrifa. He hasn't been better than Alinas Vargas for long stretches of the game. It's why he's coming off the bench in the 60th
So
minute and
take
not
off
starting him.
Polito and Shallowy, and you can keep Johnny out there.
Do what?
Take Shallowy and Polito off, and you can still leave Johnny on there with those two names. Just saying.
That is true. That is true. And again, I don't have a problem with Johnny. I love Johnny too.
Oh, I know you
Again,
don't. I'm
my
just saying.
dog's named after him.
I understand. I'm just.
Yeah.
You gave me two. You gave me two names, and I said the two names to take off before I would take off Johnny would be those two.
Yeah, and I agree.
He plays what, the 7 right now?
Yeah. 7, 10, somewhere in that, depending on how you look at it. But
what if you bring him
10,
back
7 and 8.
7, 8? What if you bring him back to 6?
False.
He can't play the 6. He can't play the 6.
You don't think so?
He's not good enough on defense. He can't play the 6.
False 9.
He can be a false 9. Again,
False
but
9.
last week I already put.
I know we talked about it. Yeah.
I put Polito in that spot last week. I can't put him in that spot, but he would be fine there too.
I'm just if Polito's not on though.
Yeah, I mean that would work. I mean, I would be fine with him on the wing again if we don't have Shallowy and Polito, because that more than likely means we've upgraded at those two spots. So, and put Willie back on the bench where he clearly belongs because he can't shoot from outside of 4 yards.
Yeah, because I feel like I've seen him. From watching games, I feel like I've seen him, flop over the fake 9 and kind of be in the mid, and someone else take his spot. And I feel like when he is in that position, like you say, he only has his 1 and 2 to go to. I feel like that's only when he's on the side. When he's in the middle, when he's really in the middle in front of the goal, I think he has different. He tries different things. No, he doesn't. He really doesn't. But he doesn't do what he does on that. I don't know.
No, you're fine. So, anything else about that, Eric?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No? Okay. So then we got to move on to ripping you.
Ripping me.
A new one.
Our favorite pastime.
Our favorite pastime. So everybody can see, we got some notes here, so I'm not looking at something that's not down here or anything. Eric, I made some points.
Let me bring mine up. I got to bring up my thing so I know what to talk about here with you.
That's totally fine, my friend. I made some notes and some points about your standings that you sent to us 8 minutes before the show started. And I got to tell you got some interesting decisions here. Okay.
I do.
So we're going to walk down at least your division winners one by one.
Okay.
And then I'll get to some of
their decisions. All right.
Yeah, there's some interesting decisions. Just so everybody knows, we use PFF.com's playoff predictor to be able to go through all 18 weeks of the season. We'll be putting this up on our social media as well later in the week. That way you can see kind of how we think the whole of the NFL is going to break down over the next 18 weeks, 19 weeks, however you look at it. But So Eric, we'll start with your lowest rated division winner because I think that's going to be the one that's the spiciest, honestly. You have a team in the AFC West winning 12 games. Two of them actually winning 12 games.
Yes.
But you have the Chargers winning the division.
Yes.
The first team that's not the Chiefs to win the division in a decade. So clearly you're trying to cement yourself as a Jim Harbaugh guy. Is that what you're doing here? Or
Oh
are you
yeah.
are you
No, I'm going it. No, I'm
or
going.
are you
with
building into Justin Herbert's a real quarterback? Because we don't
both.
believe that.
Both. I think Justin Herbert hasn't been not given the opportunity to show what he has. I think the coaching there was poorly. I think Jim Harbaugh is a big upgrade from what they had. And I think he's going to surprise us.
So last to first.
Yes.
I mean, every year there's one that happens, and so he's inside of the realm of possibility there. Looking at your stuff, I don't know if you had a last to first. Doesn't look like it from here. The closest was Atlanta, but I think they were third because clearly Carolina had the number one pick and we're fourth. But so you say Justin Herbert hasn't had a fair shake, I guess is a good way to say it.
yeah.
Which is fine, except they gave him Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler and spent a bunch of money on tight ends like Gerald Everett and who else did they have? Oh yeah, Mike Williams. Did I say that already? They spent multiple first round picks on receivers that didn't hit. Now, granted, that has nothing to do with Jim Harbaugh. And so you're telling me that Simi Fehoko is going to be the guy that leads, and Joshua Palmer, those are going to be the guys that can get it done for Justin Herbert?
Hey, what you'll see.
Like, listen, I tried to go and find Simi Foku in one of our leagues that we're in together, and I just had too many receivers, so I couldn't pick another one up. So like, I like the guy, but I was gonna have him as my wide receiver 9, not as wide receiver 2, like they're gonna be running him out there as. They don't have receivers. They have Gus Edwards in the backfield with J.K. Dobbins. Last time I checked, that didn't end so well for the Ravens, who have a better offensive line than what they had. They have a guy coming back from an injury. Listen, it takes 2 years for Harbaugh to set up his system the way that Harbaugh likes it. I have them doing well. I think I had them winning 10 games in my stuff. I can't remember exactly right now. I'm not looking at my standings. I'm looking at yours. But so there's not much difference there between you and I. But I don't think this is the year they supplant the Chiefs. Mainly because the Chiefs still have Patrick, LeVon, Mahomes the second.
Which I have to look back and see how the Chargers came up on top because they've definitely split their games. So I don't know how.
You probably have them losing one. You probably have the Chiefs losing once to the Broncos, since you have such a hard on for Sean Payton too.
Hell yeah.
So you're like, Russell Wilson was there. He's my guy. Which is another thing we'll get to in a minute. The fact that you have the Steelers winning double-digit games, but I want to get to your bullshit in a second. Your third team, I don't agree with, but Aaron did. That was Houston. So give me some information on why you took Houston there.
I think, CJ Stroud I think he proved a lot last year, and he still has the same weapons. Now he has Stephon Diggs, which I don't feel like you're a fan of. I feel like
I don't think he's going to move the needle one way or the other.
I don't. So him as like the production, I don't think is going to move the needle one way or another. I think him being there is going to move the needle a lot for CJ. I think it's going to open I think it's going to open the field a lot for him. And just offensively, I think it's going to, open it up, which gives him more options. And their defense is, I think, still did at that. I don't think the needle moved down.
No, they
Man.
need to move up on their defense. I'm high
Oh.
on the Texans too. I just think that the Colts are going to
He's
be
just
better.
higher on the Colts for some
Right.
reason.
I just I you know, I was, what did I have them at? Or the 10-6?
The Colts?
Yeah,
You had them
I
right
them
behind
10.
them, I think. 10 and
Yeah, I
7.
did.
Or no,
Yeah,
10 and 6. You apparently missed a game. Because
Apparently,
there's 17 games in a season. I don't know
that's
which game
weird.
you
I don't know.
missed.
I don't know what game I missed
I'll look
because
through your thing here. You just
I
keep
put the
giving
Colts
me.
as my bottom seed. So
that's weird because then that means someone else
You-
is missing a game.
You missed a game against the Commanders.
Yeah,
Already
okay,
found it.
so they're 11-6.
11 and 6.
11-6. I mean, there were some games I just did not think the Colts were. I think they're head to heads. I don't think I gave them to the Colts. I just don't. There's a lot of issues there that I just don't believe in. I like you do.
I don't know what issues you're talking about. They got a great running back. They got 2 good receivers. They have a good offensive line. They have a decent young quarterback that's mobile that can throw the ball like a cannon.
Who's their quarterback?
Anthony Richardson.
Oh, he didn't play last year, did he?
He played 3 games and was excellent, and then tore his shoulder up.
RG3 2.0. Got it.
No, that was the knee.
that was his knee.
That was different. Also, Aaron, you said
He's
for
just gonna
some
tear the upper
reason,
shoulder.
did you forget who their coach was?
Who, the Colts?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Former offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, Shane Steichen.
Oh, well,
Oh.
did we forget about who the Texans coach was? Or
Oh, it's D'Amico Ryans. He's a great coach. Again,
Facts.
I have the Texans in the playoffs, guys.
I don't care. You don't have them winning. And
I don't care.
And I believe in D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
So
So do I.
Listen, I do too.
My
Trust
playoffs
me.
show it.
fuck your Philly ties. That's 2.
That's 2. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. But listen, we're gonna get to it. It's a point. Trust me. Later, I believe in the Texans. I just don't think they're gonna win the division. That's all. So, all right. Then we get to the top 2 seeds. Clearly, it's not the Chiefs, who we both had as the 1 seed, but you do share your seeding with the 2 seed with me, which was the Dolphins. And so I think like you, I have some more belief in their offense than their defense. Is that right? Is that why you have them as the 2 seed?
Yeah.
Okay. So you think Tua is going to play all 17?
Yes.
Okay. See, I didn't know if he would or not, but I was going to say Skylar Thompson could win him a couple games because our guy Skylar Thompson is now QB2 with.
Well, yeah. I mean,
with the Dolphins.
Even if Tua did, and I'm not worried the Dolphins losing with Skylar Thompson. Get out.
Also, isn't it all of our guys? Didn't you go to like Fort Osage? Aaron?
No.
Oh.
I was like, who are you
No.
talking to?
I did not go to Fort Osage.
Oh, that's
went
where
to
you
Oak
went
Grove.
to.
I went to
That's
Oak
where you.
Grove.
That's right. He went to Fort Osage, but he's a
I went to
you know
tiny ass fucking Oak Grove. That's 3.
he's a byproduct of our area, so we all love him. But he's our guy. So all right, so that's it. And then the Bengals, we've really already talked about them. You have them winning 15 games
Crazy.
this year.
Crazy.
You do know they played the Chiefs in week 2, right? And they always get off to slow starts.
Sounds like I have the Bengals beating the Chiefs.
With all the front office
man.
and player issues going on that we literally talked about at the beginning of the show, you're still
Oh
confident in
boy.
that?
Oh
I'm
boy.
confident. They're gonna get their crap together.
That's a choice.
That is a choice.
I will stand by my choice.
All right. As long as you stand by it. I can't see them winning 15 games, not inside of the what is that division? The AFC North, where the Ravens are, which granted, you also have them winning 15 games and being your 5 seed. They would be the most decorated 5 seed in NFL history. The 6th seed, you do have the Chiefs there, which, I do need to let your wife know that you didn't pick the Chiefs to, win the division. So she's probably not going to be very happy with you. You might be sleeping on the couch. And then the 7th seed that you have, I appreciate it, but you got to explain your reasoning for it. Why the Bills?
I think a little was because I still have faith in Josh Allen. I don't have too much faith in what surrounds him right now. That's for me to see through the season. Um, their defense, I feel, has the needle has dropped on that. But I think he can still. Yeah, I think he is still a top 5 quarterback. I think he is can win games if it comes down to it. He will get it done. We've seen it in the past. He has taken it on his shoulders before to win a game. Um, now, do they struggle? Yes, but I feel like they still can make the playoffs, just barely, basically.
The demise of the Bills is completely overstated, and Aaron has been a victim of this himself. 86% of their touchdowns, the Bills, were
Had
scored
them
by
just
Josh
behind the
Allen.
Jets. Let's chill.
Yeah, you have them out of the playoffs though. So I mean, I'm not.
They're probably going to miss out by like half a game. Let's relax.
Hey man, I'm just saying. The demise that has been illustrated, they're not missing the playoffs. Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback. As much as it pains me to say that, as much as how inconsistent he is, he's a good quarterback and he's led his team to good places. Josh McDermott, also a former Philly guy, by the way. I'd like to point that out. Now he had stops in Carolina and other places since then, but and he was also terrible as a defensive coordinator for us, but he's a pretty good defensive coordinator these days. And so I think between that, no matter who the guys that they have there, honestly, sometimes it's better to not have known guys on defense. You can sometimes catch
Maybe.
people out off guard, whether it's a gym that you're trying to build up or somebody that, just hasn't gotten the opportunity. That's a lot of players that can do that. Nicholas Morrow is going to be leading their defense while Matt Milano is out with a tricep injury. So, I mean, they already are injured. Taylor Rapp is going to be one of their starting defensive backs as well, who is a really good young player. DeMar Hamlin is now also, it's officially going to be starting this weekend as well. So, I mean, they have good players on their defense. I think they're going to be fine. They're not going to be, top 10 defense anymore, but, I think going from 10th to 18th, that's very marginal. And I think their offense is going to be more efficient because they're actually going to run the ball with James Cook, keeping Josh Allen upright and healthier. But it's also going to create more dynamicy inside of their offense too. So let's see. And then real quick in your NFC, your fourth division winner is the Bucks. I don't really hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. But you have them winning the division at 8-9.
That's where is that where he's getting his 215 win teams from?
He has to be getting it there because that whole division's terrible. They're all under 500. Clearly,
is the AFC North playing the NFC or the NFC South?
I don't know
because I don't know how else that
happens. Eric, you got some explaining to do.
I just looked at their schedule and I think they had some pretty tough matchups, man. Baker was good last year. He was good in the playoffs. I feel like he takes a step back this year, but he's still good. Still good. I think their team's still good. I just don't think they're as good as they were last year, and that division is just god awful.
So you look what your picks. It looks like you decided that the entire division was going to take a step back this year, because every single team except the Panthers, who physically probably couldn't have lost more games in this season, lost more games than last season. You had the Saints losing 13. You had the Falcons going 6-10. But there's another game that you missed, so I don't know. I'm assuming 7-10. I don't know how maybe.
I missed it.
I don't either, man.
I did it. I did everything you asked me to do.
I don't know. Maybe it was like a Monday night game or something. Because again, somehow you have 3 teams with only 17 games, which is almost impossible too. Either way, that's a different issue.
Some teams are winning on the bye week.
Maybe.
Just not the Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys are already eliminated from the playoffs, which you have the second seed, but we'll get there. Your third seed, I think I'm about as high on them as you are. It's the
Yeah,
Bears. It's the Bears.
it's the Bears.
Aaron is
Go
not
Pack,
high on
go.
the Bears. He's
Go
go
Pack,
pack
go.
go. What do you see there?
Um, I don't know. It is preseason. It is, a lot. There's a lot of teams that can go undefeated and then be really good, and then go undefeated and then not be good during season.
Like the Broncos, yeah.
Yeah. So, so, I don't know. I guess I'm just really high on Caleb Williams, man. I think he's gonna do really good. They drafted really good. I think their team overall I think it's gonna work together, and yeah, it's gonna shock us.
He made that pick 100% based upon Caleb Williams and Roma Doomsday. I guarantee that, Aaron.
I will say that they drafted well.
They do draft. They've at least this draft. They've drafted
This draft.
well.
No, I'm just saying they drafted well this year. That is correct.
Yeah, I mean Kevin White was one of their recent draft picks out of West Virginia.
And I'm not saying that just because they picked Caleb Williams. I'm saying because of everyone else they picked that they drafted well.
Yeah, no, they were aggressive. If you've seen Hard Knocks as well, like they're in 100% win now mode internally, and so that's a need. So, all right, your last two divisional round picks or whatever you want to consider them, you got the Cowboys and you got the Niners, which, there's not much that we really need to discuss there, but those would be the top two seeds. You also have the Seahawks. So you have the 49ers winning 15 games in the division, and then you have the Seahawks winning 14 games in the division and being, again, one of the most decorated 5 seeds in NFL history. You have the Eagles.
All in.
You have the Eagles making the playoffs for the 4th time under Nick Sirianni. And then you have the Cardinals, the only one of the 4 of us, or the 3 of us, I guess there's only 3 of us here, that had the balls to take the Cardinals to make the playoffs. So I need more information on that one. What's up with the Cardinals there? Because fuck Jonathan Gannon, that's 3 or 4. I don't know where we are.
We're at 3.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is my.
No, you're right.
Who?
Sorry, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
I'm pretty sure he said Marvis Harridan Jr.
No. Because I slightly interjected saying no. I think you're right. It was 4. So, okay. But yes, he said He did say Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, okay.
I did, and I think Kyler Murray gets his stuff together, and he is gonna drop Call of Duty Black Ops 6 this year, and he's not gonna care about that game. He's gonna focus on football.
No shot.
No shot.
Did you play the? Did you play the beta?
No, I haven't.
He's gonna be too obsessed with the Omni movement, bro. No shot. He puts it down.
I can't, man. I can't. There's other things that we can get to when we get to the playoffs, because at the end of the day, we got to still take a break and pay some bills real quick. Just for a quick snapshot, guys, he's got the Patriots and the Titans going 1-33 combined, and the only win in that matchup is against each other. He's got 2 different teams going 2-15. He's got 4 teams in the AFC winning 14 games. I don't understand what to make of it, but we'll talk about it over the break. We'll be right back. What up, guys, and welcome back into our second half of our show. We're going to try to do this a little bit faster than we did last week. We took an hour and a half in the second half last week. We want to do it even a little bit faster than the first week, where it was about an hour. We're going to shoot for 40 minutes this half. So, keep us honest. And, if we do it, if we keep it under 40 minutes, you have to share this with somebody that as you're watching it. So, all right. Perfect. We're like, this is the end of the show now. Bye.
we don't make the rules. That's just what they are.
That's just what they are. Damn true. So, All right, so we're going to go ahead and give out some awards before we do our playoffs, the same way that the NFL gives out its awards the day before the Super Bowl. Obviously, this is preseason picks, so we're going to do this as quick as we can, and we're going to start with the newest players in the league, which are the rookies, right? And so, Eric, who is your offensive rookie of the year preseason?
The one and only Caleb Williams.
Aaron, do you agree with him that it will be Caleb Williams, quarterback, Chicago Bears?
As much as I talked, I do believe it will be Caleb Williams as well.
Ooh, not a clean sweep for the show. Not a clean sweep. It's going to be Jaden Daniels. You guys are underrating the guy that had the second most starts in college football. The most recent Heisman Trophy winner.
The other old head.
The other old head, if you will, but he's not older than your guy, Bo Nix. Get out of my face. So, but it's going to be Jaden Daniels. He's going to have the best season. He's got the best set of weapons around him. Now, I would argue that Caleb's are as good. But I think also because of the way that they finish their seasons, Caleb's going to have a harder schedule than the Commanders will. And so the Commanders will be able to he'll be able to do better, play better teams. For example, they play I don't even remember who they play week 1. We'll get to it later, but I think they're much better than you think they are, Eric. You think they're going to go 6-11. Well, yeah. And I think personally that they're going to be a playoff team. So I think if he leads into the playoff teams, while Caleb Williams will end up having a better record and actually beat them when they go head to head, I think Jalen's going to have the better numbers overall.
They're losing to Baker week 1.
They're losing to Baker week 1. No, sir, that's definitely not happened. They're going to win that game 34-21, just so you know. That's a free pick for everybody out there. Defensive rookie of the year. Aaron, who you got?
Defensive rookie of the year. So I had to think about this, but honestly, give me Jared Verse.
You son of a boy.
Give me Jared Verse.
I look up. I don't know if you can see my paper here. I got Jared Verse right there in the hash because I got Latu. My guy Latu. I've talked about him a couple times. He's part of the reason I'm also so high on the Colts is that they're going to have excellent pass rushers this year. Kwity Paye is going to take a step. DeForest Buckner is one of their guys, and then additionally adding Latu on the other edge. They're going to be really hard to stop. They have good corners. Kenny Moore, second in the league in interceptions last year, and I think he's 3rd or 4th overall since he came into the league. So, I personally think that Latu is going to do it. Eric, who do you have for defensive rookie of the year?
I am going to go home with mine, and
shocker.
Byron Murphy II.
That's a really
Seahawks.
good pick. No, that's a really good pick. He's going to do a lot of great things. My only problem is what I've seen. Put your phone down, by the way. It's blocking your face.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's just blocking your face. We want to see your beautiful face.
I know.
The only problem that I have with that is the same thing that we ran into with Jalen Carter last year, right? Is where eventually with defensive tackles, how much can they play? How long is their motor? And in the NFL, it's a lot harder to go against those big guys on the other side than it is in college. But he was a dominant force at Texas. It was a really great pick when you guys grabbed him. It was one of those guys that I wanted the Eagles to take just because, I want to be a glutton for defensive tackles. If anybody's seen any of my college football stuff, every year I recruit like 6 defensive tackles for no reason. So defensive tackle is important to me. I think that's a great position. I think it's a great pick. Comeback player of the year.
You want to start since the two of us started?
I'm not really happy with my pick. I got Aaron Rodgers. I don't necessarily think he's going to be better. I just don't know who's coming back. That's going to be because Kai would put Kyler, but Kyler played last year.
Do you want me to give you the list?
I mean, sure. What's the list?
I'll give it to you in order.
Okay.
You got Rodgers.
Yep.
Burrow, Cousins, Richardson, which would be a good pick if you have them as doing as well as you think they are.
You know what? I want to change my pick. That's my pick now. It's Anthony Richardson.
Nick, I'm going to go through the rest just real quick. Nick Chubb, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray, J.K. Dobbins.
Man, see, like some of those guys I don't count though. Like Burrow played last year.
That's the short list, but it's still come back because they're coming off injuries. So,
Burrow played last year. Daniel Jones played a couple games last year. I guess that one's okay. Like some of those other ones, J.K. Dobbins is definitely not winning. He's not even outpacing Gus Edwards.
Well, that's why he's at
backfield.
plus 2,000 on Kyler Murray. So,
and see, Kyler shouldn't be available for it either because he played like 11 games last year.
Yeah, but it's not just necessarily from injury; it's from playing terrible to.
Well, so
again, and that's probably literally strictly because of Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, and I actually started to write Kyler, and I was like, no, he's not going to be a guy that can come back. But I like Anthony Richardson. So who you guys got?
I figured you would, so that's why I told you that.
Thank you.
Eric, you want to go, or you want me to take it?
Well, I had Joe Burrow. So
I'm torn between two, but give me the longer odds, and with how well or better I think they're going to do, give me Kirk Cousins.
That's a good pick.
Ooh.
I don't necessarily like the Joe Burrow pick. As I've said, I've faded them already. But you clearly have them, winning 95 games this year. So
they're in a weak division, and to be fair, the Jets are also in a weak-ish division. Minus from how I have it shaking out, the Bills are a little bit deflated.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is to me. I'm not just saying that's what it is. What it is,
right?
And then the Patriots are down bad. So, I was torn between Rodgers or going Kirk Cousins, but with Kirk being in a weaker conference and the weapons that he has around him and the coaching that he has around him, I think I like that pick for me and for him to win, assuming he is able to stay healthy, obviously.
That's a great pick.
And Aaron Rodgers is the same case, though. Obviously, they're both coming off very significant injuries. So,
yeah, they're both old dudes that used to play in the NFC North. So, that they both kind of work together in tandem there. But, all right, defensive player of the year.
You're up again, Eric. We'll just rotate.
I don't know if I made a smart choice on this one.
Okay.
I went with J.J. Watt.
Okay.
You mean T.J. Watt?
No, he went with JJ. He's trying to match his Browns pick from
last year.
Yeah, he's the guy that doesn't play in the league anymore is actually eligible for the Hall of Fame next year. He's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Fifth.
There's a T there.
You want TJ? You want TJ Watt instead?
Sorry. It clearly, you probably can't see it, but it looked like a J for some reason. I don't know why.
Hey, just so you know,
there is a J in there, just one less.
In chat, just so you guys know too, Eric is going to be leaving us, after the show here to go to an NFL fantasy draft the night before the season starts. I do want you to know that TJ Hushmanzada is no longer in the league. Okay.
Okay.
Since you want to pick JJ Watt as your defensive player of the year, but TJ Watt, that's totally fine. Aaron, who you got?
I also have TJ Watt.
Okay. So how many games you got the Steelers winning?
Hey, just because doesn't matter. Numbers are what matter. I think he still gets his numbers.
I mean, numbers do matter, but I don't think he gets the numbers and they don't win.
But I do like Max Crosby as well.
That's a good pick. I considered Max. I considered Micah. But
I know Micah's the highest, but I don't see Micah getting it. So if I don't go TJ because of how much the defense will, and I feel like with their quarterback situation, he's going to be out there more. So that could be for better or for worse. Mm-hmm. So I feel like he's going to have even more opportunities to have more numbers because of their offensive woes. That's why I'm kind of leaning toward TJ Watt, but close second, if not interchangeable, I'm going to go Max Crosby.
Okay, that's fair. Now, like I said, I thought about Max, I thought about Micah, and then ultimately I had to go back to my standings, my predictions, my picks. Who do I have as the 1 seed in the AFC? The Browns. Who is their best player?
Myles
Garrett. And so I think Myles Garrett is going to be the reason that they are the 1 seed. And because he's going to have such a dominant impact, one that we really haven't seen from the defensive end, I think position that I think he's going to be able to win back-to-back defensive player of the years, even though he just won it and they typically slant towards with defensive player of the year, somebody who hasn't won it when it's close. Mm-hmm. I think Micah will have a decent season, even though I'm fading them as well. Offensive player of the year though, Aaron, who do you have for that one?
Offensive player of the year. Oh, I don't know the last time that we've had a repeat offensive player of the year, but I haven't picked necessarily who's been the favorite. But honestly, give me CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
He got paid. He's going to be happy. Hopefully that translates into producing. I know that they're going to have a harder schedule, right? They do have a decently hard schedule, right? The Cowboys,
Mm-hmm.
or at least
I mean, they have a
middle of the
first
road.
place schedule, which John pointed something out to me the other day. John's getting a lot of love in this show. That only changes 3 games in your season.
Yeah.
It legitimately only changes 3 games. So, but yeah, they do have a harder schedule. They play. I think we play the West and the North this year. I can't. Don't quote me on that though. I can't remember exactly what our schedule is.
But like as far as like the short list goes, like I do like McCaffrey. I don't people like as an offensive player of the year don't typically repeat. So I don't know if they get it or not. Like even though he's not on the list, like assuming they think like Mahomes might get MVP again, like you could technically maybe consider him for offensive player of the year if he doesn't win MVP. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, so they haven't gave the MVP the offensive player of the year since 2002 or something like that.
To QB?
No, just to the same player.
Oh, to the same player.
So offensive player of the year is basically like second place to MVP for quite some time.
And the short list has no QBs on it, by the way.
Yeah, and typically and it's unfair because again, anybody should be able to be MVP. We've talked about this on this show before ad nauseum, and anybody should be able to be offensive player of the year, but they typically do skill position guys for that, and then they do quarterbacks for MVP. It's stupid. I personally have Bijan Robinson, kind of the same thought process that you have with Kirk Cousins.
I would love that for me because that's good for my dynasty league. So
hey, there you go.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, I think Bijan has the ability to do it. The question is if their offensive line is good enough or not. And so that's to be the part that we look at. Eric, who's your offensive player of the year? Is it Tyreek?
Tyreek Hill. How'd you know? You read my mind.
I was thinking about what you had, and I'm like, you love the AFC. You think all of these teams in the AFC are going to win all these games, so it's got to be Tyreek. But also he hasn't won one, and so they haven't. Just like with the defensive player of the year, while there have been repeats and back-to-back winners, JJ, TJ, for example, both guys that have won back-to-back recently, mainly just the Watt brothers, actually. But the with back-to-back. With the offensive player of the year hasn't happened since 2000 when Marshall Falk won 3 straight. So that's, I think that's a really good opportunity. Christian McCaffrey, I know, is high in the odds. I think he's first in odds right now. But I think it's a running back over anybody else, but obviously you guys have your picks and I have mine.
Yeah.
Is it my turn again then for coach of the year?
It is indeed.
All right. So again, I got to go with another. Why everything I have been doing lately is with the freaking Colts. I don't understand what my love is with the Colts. What's going on? I have 9 defensive players in our dynasty league where we do individual draft players that are Colts. 6 of them are on the defense themselves. So like I apparently really like the Colts this year, guys, and so I'm going to also go and keep that same form. Shane Steichen's done an excellent job so far with them. Last year, he won 9 games with Gardner Minshew as his quarterback. I think with Anthony Richardson, that's clearly an upgrade. They're going to be better this year, and so I think that's the part of the reason I'm so high on the Colts. And then I also, I've given him Coach of the Year. Eric?
Looks like I feel like you know where I'm going to go because of my postseason, my playoff predictions and whatnot, and how my standings go. I think I'm going to have to go with Jim Harbaugh.
That's surprising to me, honestly, only because Jim is expected to do better than what they were last year, and they weren't terrible last year, under Staley. I thought you were actually going to go Mike McDonald.
That's what I was literally about to say.
It was between both of them. He was my second.
It's again, Aaron. He picks the Niners to be the 1 seed over his Seahawks. He's a big Brock Purdy guy. And he doesn't take Mike McDonald. I don't think you are a Seahawks fan anymore, man.
Hey,
I'm really thinking that you might be a different fan.
no,
I'm gonna go ahead and buy you a Brock Purdy jersey with all the proceeds from the show.
Hey, I can be a fan, but I can also give my opinion on how I see it. Hey, I want to. My heart wants to give everything to the Seahawks, but I have to give my, like my personal, most professional opinion I could give.
Okay, that's fair. Aaron, who you got for coach?
So this one was a little tough for me because, like, as much as I would like to say that Eberflus gets it, or or even D'Amico Ryans, both of those teams played very well last year, and I feel like it's going to be given to even if they repeat the same success, but because they did it the year before, they're not going to get it.
Sure.
So I feel like Jim will turn it around, but I do think you are along the right lines with Shane Steichen, and I'm torn between Steichen and Raheem Morris with how well I have the Falcons doing, at least.
Yeah,
but I'll probably go with Shane Steichen as well.
He's the guy, man. And honestly, when we look back at the Super Bowl run and what the issues that Jalen Hurts has had with Sirianni, which seem to be quelled with Kellen Moore being there right now. So I'm actually really high on Kellen Moore. Probably only being there for 1 year because he gets another coaching job. But, Shane Steichen was the reason that offense was so good, that Jalen Hurts was an MVP candidate. I think he has the ability to do the same thing with Anthony Richardson as long as Anthony just plays within himself. So I think that's a great pick. Obviously, we have the same pick. Eric's over here doing, gibberish. So
I'll just wait.
So, all right. So here's the MVP, man. This is your pick. I think Aaron and I have the same guy.
Oh, I'm sure you both have the same guy.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and let you go.
You already know who my MVP is.
It's Brock Purdy?
It's Joe Burrow.
No other person than Brock Purdy himself.
Oh,
he is going to prove himself this year.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. Okay.
How? Hold on. Just how?
I don't think he has Christian McCaffrey. I don't think he's going to be healthy enough to. Hear me out. I'm not saying he's going to miss games. I just don't think he's going to get as much reps. I don't think they're going to work him as much. He has this injury. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm listening to what you're saying, and it doesn't make any sense to me because I've watched their preseason. I've watched their training camp. I've heard all the stories about Brock Purdy throwing a pick a day in training camp, and then he gets to the game and he does the same fucking thing. That's 5. So
sweet. I also saw the Chiefs preseason and training camp and everything, and they were 0-4. And are you going to say
where
that
Patrick Mahomes played 8 snaps, and on the 8 snaps he played, they scored?
I'm just saying. Is he going to be horrible? Is he gonna be horrible? But then
they had a difference between those two.
Hold on, then you had your God to glory number 2 overall quarterback Carson Wentz. I mean, and they still did poorly.
Actually, no, they didn't. They played well when Carson was in. That's the reason they cut Chris Olave because they were asked when he was in.
NFL wide.
Yeah, he's got 7 different things on in his newest workout video. But the other thing too is that Patrick Mahomes has shown a propensity to be able to do it in the biggest moments without having the support and help. Brock Purdy, when he lost Deebo Samuel against the Vikings, threw up a fucking eggshell. That's 6 against Jared Hall. So I don't want to hear about how Brock Purdy is going to prove himself when he came out this offseason and was like, I got more that I can show people. Went and tried to do that in the preseason and in the training camp and was ass.
And when has preseason and camp ever mattered?
All the time.
No, it hasn't. That's why
tell that to Russell Wilson, who didn't participate in any of it.
Well, he's also I don't know what he is.
I don't know. You're wearing a jersey.
Is that not
Mr.
proving
Limited.
is that not proving a point? You asked when did it matter? Well, that I feel like that mattered.
Well,
Yep.
then why is everybody trying to get rid of preseason? Because it doesn't really matter.
No, it matters. The result of the game doesn't matter. That's what
Correct.
you're mistaking. The way you perform in practice, the way things are feeling, the vibes around the team, all of that matters. And the noisiest team in the NFL this offseason has been who? Well, the Cowboys. But the second noisiest team this offseason, that was the 49ers.
It's true.
And you want me to expect them to be great, and you want me to expect BrockPurdy to be great when Trent Williams is going to have 3 days to get prepared with this brand new offensive line that they're with. Remember, their offensive line outside of Trent Williams is terrible. And so, like, there's only so much they can do at that point. But yes, he does have the Avengers. They had incredible health last year. They were one of the best offenses last year, and he didn't win MVP. He finished, what, third to Christian McCaffrey and Lamar Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe even fourth. I think Dak was up there too, wasn't he?
I think Dak was still fourth.
I think
Actually, I think Dak did.
I think Dak was
third?
second. I thought Dak was second. No, Christian was second. Dak was third. Brock was fourth.
Yeah.
And so again, if you're right, you're right. And you're not on an island by yourself, but I'm not joining you on that island.
That's fine.
Aaron,
I'll be on my island by myself.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles,
you got Jalen? We don't have the same person.
No, I don't have
okay.
Jalen.
I'm like, come on. I don't even have Jalen. It
No.
could happen, but I don't have it.
Give me CJ Stroud.
We also don't have the same person if that's who you're taking. I think that's a good pick. That's a better pick than fucking BrockPurdy. That's 6. God, this is what happens. This is why we blame
No, do not blame
you jump
me.
in here.
No.
You jump in here and you start giving this nonsense, and I'm like, I gotta tell him. I got powerful feelings. No. And so I don't have CJ, but I think it's a good pick. Obviously, you have them doing much better than I do. I can't have them not win the division and be MVP.
Yeah.
But
going with Patrick Mahomes.
I'm going with Patrick Mahomes a second.
I was torn between the two.
I told you guys last year at the Super Bowl, I can't bet against the man anymore. It's not possible. I'm not allowed to do it. And I look at the team. They're better than they were last year. He had a good season last year. I trust Xavier Worthy, even though he can't get off the line, more than I trusted Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. And so, at the end of the day, I think they'll be better at the wide receiver position. They're going to be, I think the important part here is I think they're going to be worse defensively. And so they're going to give up more points. And so Patrick's going to have to score more than he did last year. And so that's part of the whole dynamic here. I think that he's going to have his third 5,000-yard passing season. He'll be second all time in terms of total 5,000-yard passing seasons at that point as well. Have his third MVP to go with this third Super Bowl. However, spoiler, he's not winning his third Super Bowl in a row. Which leads us to our playoff predictions, guys. You guys ready for that? So I got all of our. Don't be so excited, guys. Come on now. There was zero energy there. I got all of our picks here. Well, let me rephrase. I have mine and Eric's picks here. I have yours, your first round at least, written out, Aaron. So we'll go round by round, person by person, alphabetically. And so, Aaron, that makes you first.
Motherfucker. We're going first name alphabetically. That's what, 6?
Yeah.
7.
7.
That's tough.
What do you mean 7? I don't understand what? Did I miss something here?
Yeah, I dropped one.
You dropped one what?
The F-bomb.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's what we were counting there. I'm like 7. I was looking at this like, no, there's not 7
My guy is
games you gotta
lost.
pick.
He is lost.
I was super lost there.
He had an extra word to the front of it. That's why I lost you.
Yeah. All right. So we'll start your AFC, which you have your number 7 seed Indianapolis going to Baltimore.
Man.
You said what now? Sorry, Indy going to Baltimore?
Yep.
Well, we're going Baltimore.
Okay. And then you have the Chargers heading to Houston.
Houston.
And then you have Cincy heading to Miami.
Give me Cincy.
Okay. Dallas at Detroit.
Oh, Detroit all day.
Sure. Green Bay at San Fran.
Give me Green Bay.
Oh, you did not.
Rams at Falcons.
Rams.
Rams. Okay. Let me look at this really fast so I can get this. So you're going to have, in the next round, you have Cincy going to Kansas City, and then Houston heading back to Baltimore as they did in the divisional round last year. On the other side, you have Green Bay heading to Philly in a rematch of the game that's going to be played on Friday when this episode airs. And then you have the Rams heading to Detroit. Okay. So we'll get to those in a second. I have the Ravens at the Dolphins. I have the Dolphins winning that. I have the Bills at Indy. I have Indy winning that. And I have the Texans going to the Browns, my number 1 seed. Or no, wait, they weren't number 1 seed. Sorry, they were just winning the
AFC North.
The AFC North. That's right. I still have the Chiefs as the 1 seed. And I have the Texans beating the Browns again in the playoffs in Cleveland. And then
see how that works, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do have the Browns making the Super Bowl. So
Wow.
it's a joke because you did the reverse last year.
Okay.
Browns were beating the Texans, but Texans were going to the Super Bowl. All right, Rams at Bears. I'm taking the Bears. I think Caleb can get that win there, at least against the Rams on the road. At that point, I think Stafford's just a little bit too old. Commanders at Falcons, which was my 6-3 matchup. I have an upset here with the Commanders taking out the Falcons on the road. Dan Quinn's return to Atlanta. Also, potentially, little sneaky thing here, fixing the 28-3 curse that he has. Maybe, just maybe. Then it's going to be Lions at 49ers. I have the Lions upsetting the Niners in a rematch of that NFC Championship last game. They get their get back. Which leads me to you, Eric. Oh, sorry. By the way, my second round is Texans at Chiefs, Indy at Dolphins, Commanders at Eagles, Lions at Bears. That's my divisional round. So you start with the Bills at Dolphins in an AFC East matchup for the 3rd year in a row in the playoffs, to start the playoffs as well. Who you got winning this game?
Miami.
Okay. You got the Chiefs at Texans.
Let's go CJ Stroud.
Oh, okay. You don't want to say that one out loud a little bit louder so your wife can hear that you didn't pick the Chiefs to beat the Texans? I can send her this video real quick. Actually, you know what? When we make the clips and I put them out for social media, that's gonna be one that I post, and I'm gonna tag her in it.
Man, you don't have them winning a game. That's crazy.
Love you, Als. Ravens at Chargers.
Ravens.
The Ravens. Okay. Then your crazy matchup: Cardinals at Cowboys.
got a lot of birds over there, by the way.
There's
you haven't noticed.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you
Cowboys.
Do. Cowboys. So interesting fact, by the way, Cowboys are 0-3 in the Mike McCarthy era against the Cardinals. Just so you know. So you're going to be wrong there either way. But
okay.
Eagles at Bears.
Eagles.
Go Birds. Seahawks at Bucks.
Go Birds.
You got the Seahawks in that one too. So you think that they're good enough to make the playoffs, but not good enough to beat the Seahawks, who are going to be 6 games better than the Bucks. Okay. All right. So your second round matchups are Ravens at Bengals, Texans at Dolphins, Eagles at Niners, and Seahawks at Cowboys. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now we're going to move to the divisional round. Aaron, Cincy at Kansas City.
Kansas City, baby.
Kansas City. Houston at Baltimore.
Give me Houston.
Houston. All right. And so your championship matchup is Houston.
Kansas City of new versus Houston of new versus Houston of old. Oh wait, never mind. That was the Oilers, which became the Titans. That's my fault.
Yeah, fix that one next time.
Well, they were called the Texans down there, weren't they?
They were the Texans, yeah. They were the Texans of old, not
Yes.
Houston of old.
Sorry, Texans. Yeah, you got what I was saying.
They were
It's
the
fine.
Dallas Texans, buddy, not
Correct.
the Houston Texans.
Correct. Sorry.
But no, you have Houston going to the Kansas City, the Arrowhead Invitational. Got it. Green Bay at Philly.
Go Birds.
All right, that better be a freaking primer for our pick here in just a minute. Rams at Detroit.
Give me the Lions.
Go Cats.
Go Cats. John would probably kill me if I picked Stafford, although he'd probably understand.
He would understand because he's the better quarterback of the two. He's going to hate that I said that, though, and I can't wait for him to text me about this. Please do.
Please do.
My next picks, and he might like this. I have the Texans and the Chiefs playing, just like you do, but just a round earlier. And I have the Texans winning that game. Okay? So, before you try to jump me and say that the Texans are going to beat the Chiefs, I've already done it. And then at Indy at the Dolphins, I'm not crazy. I'm taking the Dolphins. I'm not taking Indy. Indy can't play in hot weather. They've shown that in Jacksonville. So I have
Sickles.
no. Listen. I understand there's limitations. Okay, and Shane Steichen can only take him so far. But I think it's a close game. I think that one's more like a 24-23 type game. I think the Chiefs game is going to be more like 27-20. But it's not me picking against Mahomes. It's me saying that there's just not enough time for him to do what they do. And Stroud can do a lot of the things that Mahomes can. He's not Mahomes. He does not have the level of ability as Mahomes, but he's on his way. On the other side, I have the Commanders heading to the Link to play the Eagles, where they have like an 800 winning percentage in the playoffs. Give me the Eagles. The Lions heading to Soldier Field for the Bears to host their second playoff game in over a decade. The Lions win that game. The Bears do not. Again, there's limitations. There's limitations to Jaden. There's limitations to Anthony. There's limitations to Caleb Williams. There's limitations to Bo Nix. Okay. And so those are, the guys.
He's not even in the playoffs.
Drive by on Bo Nix. Take it. Take that L, Bo. So my championship games are Texans at Dolphins, Lions at Eagles. Eric, you got Ravens at Bengals.
Yes. Bengals.
Like what? Yes. Do you think they're both going to move on to the championship game?
They're gonna draw.
No. Bengals.
Texans at Dolphins.
Dolphins.
And Dolphins. Okay, so you have Bengals and Dolphins. Bengals hosting, and then on the other side, Eagles at Niners.
No birds. No birds.
Go Niners. Surprised you didn't pick Tua as your MVP.
Jesus Christ. All right, and then Seahawks at Cowboys.
Oh, you better believe go birds.
Your team doesn't say that, okay? I know they're a bird. They don't say that. That is an Eagles term. Go Hawks. Go Hawks. There you go. That's better. That's still Russell Wilson's term, so you can go be Mr. Limited. But still, go Hawks. All right, Aaron. Your conference championship games. Houston at Kansas City.
I'm not picking against Patrick. Give me the Chiefs.
Give you the Chiefs to go to their third consecutive Super Bowl.
CJ Stroud loses by 3.
All right, and then
he's
Philly.
Just not quite there yet.
That's fair. Philly at Detroit.
Give me the Lions.
Oh, that's a bad pick. That's a bad. Oh wait, no, sorry. Wait, hold on. I did this wrong. You had Philly as the 1 seed, Detroit as a 2. It'd be Detroit at Philly.
Give me the Lions.
You still want the Lions? He said, "Give me that ass."
Give me a Chiefs Lions Super Bowl and inject that shit into my veins.
He said, "Bring your ass," just like Anthony Edwards. All right. So I have Texans at Dolphins. I think the Texans win that, get to their Super Bowl. While I understand what you're saying, I think their hardest game is in round 2, where it's a little bit earlier, not as much pressure. I think if it is a championship game, I think I would go Patrick, because that's different, right? But I think at some point in time, Patrick's career has to end before the championship game, or at least each season does. And eventually it's going to happen. Year 8 feels like the right time, I guess. I don't know.
I think he's got one more, but if they do meet earlier, I will agree that the Texans would probably beat the Chiefs.
It's just a little bit less pressure on their
Correct.
side. That's all it is. All right, and then my other game was Lions at Eagles, just like yours is, but I have the Eagles winning. I think that it's a little bit too much. Philly is. You remember that year that the Vikings were really good and everybody thought that they were going to go into the link and win a game against Nick Foles? Yeah, that didn't happen. That didn't happen at all. So I think that happens again, kind of like this year. Unfortunately,
St. Brown gonna catch for
on who?
He's gonna have 180 yards receiving.
On who? Darius Slay? No, sir. Cooper DeJean? No, sir. Quinyon Mitchell? No, sir. Keely Ringo? No, sir. CJ Gardner Johnson? No, sir.
Bro's gonna have himself a heyday. He's gonna go ham.
He might have a heyday as in he's taking a nap. Get out of here.
No.
Eric, Dolphins at Bengals.
Plus 10,000 or for Sam Brown.
Bengals.
Bengals. Okay. And then somehow Seahawks at Niners.
Niners.
Oh yeah, that
Well,
if you pick the Seahawks there,
well, we know the Niners are winning the Super Bowl for him, so
maybe he might pick the Seahawks still. You never know.
That's true.
All right, Aaron, who's your preseason Super Bowl champion?
Give me that team.
That doesn't really clear it up.
Give me the Chiefs for the 3-peat.
The Chiefs for the first ever not Kansas City 3-peat, but the first ever NFL 3-peat.
I think they're locked in.
I don't know.
I think they do it one more time.
I think that the league is really hell bent on making this not happen. Like, not necessarily like Goodell and that side of the league. I'm talking about the other 31 teams. And so I think like every team is going to be sharing all the information they can.
God forbid something happens to Patrick, but assuming things go right and he is healthy, then yes, give me the 3-peat, as much as I don't like them.
Again, I just don't trust the defense. Joshua Williams is a young corner. He's taking over the position of L'Jarius Sneed, and L'Jarius Sneed's a really great player. So when you lose a great player on one side of the ball that made such an impact to your defense, I think it's going to be a little bit harder. But I
think Chris Jones is still a good enough difference maker like he was past season.
But like also he's a year older. He's in his 30s now.
I understand.
Things are different.
I understand that, but
different. Look what happened when they won one. Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney got fat happy, bro. The defense is going to do the same thing. I'm just saying. Texans at Eagles, though. So as I said earlier, I have love for the Texans. I just don't think they're going to win their division. Instead, I have them in the Super Bowl. However, the Eagles get their second title in the last 6 years, baby. Let's go. Eagles, my preseason Super Bowl champion, which means we're probably going to have a terrible season. Eric, you got Bengals versus Niners. You going with your boys,
bro,
Joey
if it's
B.
the Bengals versus Niners, I will give you 1K.
Chat, you heard it here. You heard it here first, all right? So
if this fucking happens, that's 8 now. I might die.
Yeah. So you got your boys, Joey B in the 2019 LSU Tigers, or you got Brock Purdy in the 2006 Iowa State Cyclones, because that's effectively when he started school there.
I am going with Brock Purdy and the Niners.
Compared to the Philadelphia Bulldogs?
Hey now. We got some Crimson Tides on there, okay? Landon Dickerson, Devontae Smith, Jeremiah Trotters from Clemson. We're about to take Brian Dawkins Jr. as well next year. So we're about to be the Philadelphia Tigers, okay? Okay? So
the Philadelphia Bull Tigers?
Yes, the Philadelphia. Ooh, I like that. Now we got to mock up something for it. So
TM.
All right. So there is our preseason playoff predictions. The last thing that we're going to give you guys today, we have highlighted 5 games on top of the season opener, which we gave you last week. We got Packers, Eagles, Broncos at the Seahawks, Cowboys at the Browns, Jets at the 49ers, and the Rams at the Lions. All right, and so we're going to start with the Packers Eagles. Again, that game is on Friday. It's exclusively on Peacock in Brazil in the Corinthians Stadium. Eric, are you a believer in Jordan Love, or are you taking the birds here?
Eagles 31-23.
He's taking Eagles 31-23. Aaron, what you got?
Go Birds.
Wow, so 2 times on this show you picked the Eagles over the Packers. I love that for us. Okay. So
38-17.
38-17. Perfect. Wow, you think they're going to destroy them? That's a lot.
I think they're going to be pissed off with how they ended last season.
I mean, I'm pissed off with how we ended last season. I don't know if we're going to win that bad or good. I don't know how you look at it, but
I hope they play that angry, because they should be.
They should be. That you are 100% right with how that team started 10-1. The fact that we finished, where we did at 11-6, and then ultimately the playoff game disaster.
I think it's more telling. Mine is based on. It's more telling of how I think the Eagles are going to play compared to the the Packers.
Okay, I see what you're saying here. All right, so to Queen Sleep, I got him 26-17. I think we're going to struggle a little bit, kick a lot of field goals. # Jake Elliott's the best kicker in the league. And we're going to go there. So, all right. So next, Eric, Broncos, Seahawks. This game is in the 4:25 window on Sunday on CBS.
Yes.
Who you got?
Go Hawks.
That's just wrong.
38-23.
So they're going to score more than the Eagles. Got it. What do you got, Aaron?
Broncos Nation. Let's ride.
To a win or a loss, because you did that a lot last year and you still lost a bunch of games.
Oh no, we're beating the Seahawks. We may be bad, but the Seahawks are worse.
What you got for a score?
Give me 24-20.
24-20. I think this is more of a defensive game. I think Bo struggles a little bit seeing a true NFL defense. Mike McDonald is also a genius on defense. Played a lot of good, look at what he did to CJ Stroud last year, for example, with more weapons, with a better coach, with a better offensive line. So I'm going to take the Seahawks, but it's going to be a close game. Give me 19 Seahawks, 14 Broncos. Low scoring game. So, all right. Cowboys, they got CD done. Mike has been in camp. Dak's like, if they don't get the deal done by week 1, then it shows a lot of, what they have on us. Who you guys got? I personally clearly am taking the Browns. Browns are going to win this game. It's going to be ugly. 25-20. They're going to kick 7 field goals.
Jeez.
Eric,
I got the Cowboys. I got the Cowboys 28-17.
I also have the Cowboys.
Score?
We'll go 30-21.
Okay. And then that game is the America's Game of the Week, by the way, on Fox. Tom Brady's first game where he is calling in the regular season, at least. I know he did one broadcast in the preseason, which, by the way, he can't meet with teams during the regular season. He can't go to production meetings, do anything basically during the week. He is only showing up on Sundays because of his chance to buy a minority stake in the Raiders. So we're going to see how well he does. I imagine it's not necessarily as good as Tony Romo, but I bet it's probably better than Troy Aikman because, Troy Aikman sucks. Next game is Monday Night Football, where the Jets head across country to play the 49ers. And I think I already know who Eric's taking. So, Aaron, who you got?
Give me the Lions. Oh, sorry, wrong game. I was going in order because we skipped that game, and that game is on Sunday, where the
Yep.
other one is on Monday. So that's my
Right.
fault. I've read that wrong.
You're
Give me the 49ers.
What's your score?
24-21.
Give me the Lions, actually. Oh, I agree with you. Give me the Lions. So it's going to seem counterproductive to everything that I have said so far on this podcast about the Niners and Brock Purdy and them and this, that, and the third. I think they win 31-13. I don't think it's close. I'm fading the shit out of Aaron Rodgers. So, Eric, who you got?
Niners
Score?
42-15.
Jesus Christ.
You're taking the way over on the point spread.
Good night. What is it, 47?
43.5.
43.5. Good God. So I was right over the point spread. I didn't even know what it was. I was at 44. So like that's right on. Perfect. I feel really good about my pick now. All right. So this leads us to the last pick we're doing of the week. And that's going to be Rams and Matt Stafford heading back to Detroit. This is the second time Matt Stafford has been there. Apparently they are planning to do something before the game for Matt Stafford. If you guys remember, a couple of years ago, Tom Brady went back to New England, had his worst game of that season in New England. What do you guys think happens here?
I think the Rams win this game.
Didn't you just say, give me the Lions, though?
I did. That's the bet.
I'm so confused.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So you're taking the Rams, or is it a bit?
I'm taking the Rams.
Okay.
It's one of the few games I have Detroit losing. I think because of things being focused on Stafford, I think Stafford still gets the W.
Okay. What's the score?
Give me 33-24.
All right. Eric.
Go Cats.
What's your score, buddy?
28-27.
And if there's any games I'm wrong about, I hope it's that one.
That's fair. I also am taking the Rams in this game. And it's not necessarily because of anything else other than I think Matt Stafford wants to win that game. I think it's important to him.
Mm-hmm.
Sean McVay has had all offseason to prepare for this game, and Jahmyr Gibbs is not 100% healthy. And so because of all of those reasons, with Kyron Williams also being a 5 yards per carry back, and them playing in a dome, I'm going to take the Rams to win 34-26 because I also don't trust that the Lions defense is actually fixed with Carlton Davis. Just call me crazy. But hey, that's kind of the job of the show, right? You got to let us know.
Yeah.
Are we geniuses or are we just crazy? Thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure to review, like, share, rate, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. We'll see you next week.